Okay, this is day 3 in Scotland, and I have to say that I am feeling so much lighter on my feet. Okay, I'm just documenting a journey. It's not coming from a bias. It's not like I don't like the UK. But when I was living in Norfolk, I seem to have just been feeling really unwell since I landed there. We were living in Portugal prior to that for about 3.5 years, and we found somewhere really magical there. And I'm just gauging realities. So this is a new reality. This is Scotland. Of course, this is middle of a forest by a lake. It's beautiful. Towers are far away. Any that are hitting us are one maybe over there, and then the rest is all mountains everywhere. So you're just what I believe to be just a little bit more protected from the onslaught of this system that's been built out that makes us believe that everything is safe. None of these technologies, none of these poisons have any effect on us. Yet you look around and there's misery in so many people's eyes, and stress and strife. So anyways, what I'm focusing right now on is the future that I want to create. So I'm just seeing beauty. I even was thinking, I was just trying to organise shipping some of the gold over to Ireland to a friend of mine who's going to get it out to the peoples. She's a legend MC, calling you out here. I was kind of getting a bit bogged down with all the like bureaucracy on liquids and all this stuff. And then I was like, actually, no matter how hard it is or how expensive it is, it can't be as bad as back in the day, finding a horse courier to throw a couple of bottles of whatever you were selling, whiskey, and then hoping that he was not going to get smashed on his way and drink all your whiskey. We definitely have to kind of see what we have. I'm not one of these the world is just absolutely terrible. We are actually unbelievably blessed. But it's just amazing with all these blessings that there's such a high level of pain and struggle in the world. And I do think a lot of that is to do with our disconnection from spirit. So that's kind of my mission in this lifetime, is to address that, because for me, even though the last 2 years have been massively challenging, I've just been tested. I've been, there's a whole story there that I'm, if I were to really speak openly, it's very hard for, I think, people to understand. But there are many people in the world right now that are exhibiting heightened sensitivities. Where that's coming from, I do not know, but I have my theories. And so just all along this walk, every single couple of meters, there's one of these tiny little nooks where you could just pop a little tent, light a fire, go fishing, go for a swim. And you know what the craziest thing is, guys, is we're now being led to believe and to feel like we actually shouldn't be here. You can see with I notice how they're covering these wildfires, and they're kind of subtly, it's the fire started, and then a couple of days into it, it's and now we found out how the fire was started. And of course it was by the terrible human beings that were so negligent, that left a campfire burning and have lit the whole of the UK up in flames. Same as Portugal, same all over the world. Some negligent person has done the worst thing ever. we're going to have to, like, probably in the future quarantine off these, like, nature reserves to protect nature from these terrible human beings. Yet what people need to wake up to is that there's a force out there that cares not for us, the environment. It is well documented now, spraying aluminum, barium on top of, like, I think there's something like 40 different compounds, most of them connected to the byproduct of coal-powered fly ash. And where that comes from, it's kind of like the fluoride thing, like when they had hydrofluoric acid, one of the most toxic compounds from the fertilizer industry. They're like, what are we going to do with this? Well, it's so toxic that we don't know what to do with it. Let's just put it in the water supply, because somehow when we put it in the water supply, it's going to not have a toxic load and it's going to help people's teeth. Just like putting mercury in our teeth for fillings instead of using silver. It was like, how are we going to save money, Rockefellers and all our friends? We really need to save some money and help the people save money. It's like, let's get rid of silver and put mercury inside all their teeth. How are we going to get rid of all this coal power plant fly ash, the most toxic byproduct of the coal? I know, guys, let's get it all together. Let's round it up and let's spray it into the stratosphere, and we will tell the people that we're fighting climate change, whilst it has a myriad of different functions that serve a global agenda on the takeover of the world, which is happening before our very eyes. So when you see these wildfires, you basically have to understand that for the last 30 years they've been spraying a nano aluminum that's now all over every inch of the globe and is a flammable. It's the main ingredient used in fireworks. And then strontium dries out the soil. And then on top of directed energy weapons that they can easily ignite with lasers from space. Ooh, it sounds so crazy. It's all well documented. They have the technology. Lasers are well documented, how powerful they can be, easily put on a satellite, easily fired from space. What we have to consider is that what we know about now is just the tip of the iceberg, because their technology that they've been advancing since pre-World War II, if not further, has basically gone leaps and strides, and they think they're probably 30, maybe even 50 years more advanced. So all of this, you're kind of going, it makes us feel like they have the upper hand. We might as well just give up. Look, excess mortality is going through the roof, birth rates are dropping, we could go on and on. So how do we get out of this, guys? We get out of it because we are children of God. We are the most magnificent creatures. We're actually meant to be the custodians of this planet. We're meant to be the guardians of this planet. Yet we have been messed with for too long, and it's time for us to break out of our shackles. So I brought along a companion of mine. This is a product. This is my packaged product. This is liquid gold made through light, using nothing but light. I have a laser and I've found a way of creating this. And there's one other company in the world, they're worth checking out because they're the top supplement company in the world. And they're called Global Healing. And they've released a product like this. A bottle of theirs like this would cost about, I think, like £500. And I'm basically, for research and personal use only, selling this for £70. So you get a lot more bang for your buck, and the potency, I can swear on my heart that it is equivalent to what they're selling. So basically, I'll just crack this open. So here we go. Ready? Oh, I thought that lid would crack. I obviously have to do something with that lid. I've just bought those bottles. I'm still trying to figure out I've got like a label that I'm about to go with, and I'm trying to get more kind of funky bottles, but they take months to arrive. So getting there slowly. Yeah, so this is all I do. I basically go, I take the tiniest little swig and I leave it under my tongue, like that. And I let it rest under my tongue. Now I'm not going to do that for the entire video or else I'll be speaking like this. But what happens is when I'm on my own, I meditate and I leave it under my tongue throughout the entire meditation. And slowly it starts to change in its kind of composition. It nearly becomes more kind of like third phase water, like more wet, kind of like. And it also it starts to get sweet, which is a very strange anomaly. So yeah, what else have we got? Okay, so yeah, so I meditate with that. Hello. Oh, yeah. Oh, they've just left the camping place. Look at this other little one here now. This is where the guy on the bike was yesterday. I didn't want to like video him. Isn't that cool? Just have a fire. Just pull up here. Guy's really cool. Yeah, so with the meditation can get extremely interesting with the gold. I can only speak kind of from my own personal standpoint. I have to be very careful on claiming any medical like foundational information, but I can talk about colloidal gold, the research. There's over like 6,000 different peer-reviewed medical journals on the benefits of colloidal gold, and that's using what I would describe as the far inferior form of gold, which is actually red. This is like, you can kind of see, this is nearly like a ruby color. It's not red. The red stuff is the stuff that you need to be a bit more questioning of, because the nanometer range within that and also the way it's produced is not the most optimal form for the body. It's funny, like I'm going to be one of these guys like, my gold is the best gold, don't take anyone else's gold. But I suppose my whole life I've been waiting to kind of get behind something that has felt like my calling, and this is it, because this stuff really is beyond anything else out there. And I just happen to have magically figured it out how to make it. After I tried it from Global Healing, I went through half a bottle in one night, and at that point their bottles were half the volume that they are now for, like, by the time you get into the UK, like 60, 70 quid or something. 30 mils is about $1,000 for this much if you bought it. And they've now doubled their amount, which is lovely of them, because I thought it was a bit too little. But I went through that in one night. Basically, my experience was my heart burst open. I went into bliss and joy for the entire night, and I just had a deeply profound spiritual experience. After that experience, the other element of that experience was, up until then, I had been going through this very challenging period in my life where I've been basically met with incredible challenge. And to go into what that is, or where it came from, or how it manifests, it's a whole other story. I'm gonna address it, because I need to speak up, because I'm not the only person in the world right now that's been, oh my god, look at a little tiny little mouse. He is so cute. Can I get him on camera? Oh my god, he's just like on the road, just like chilling. Are you just gonna be chilling and not coming out? Oh my god. Anyways, guys, and I seen the tiniest little frogs yesterday, like Inchy winchy baby frogs. But yeah, like, yeah, I'm going to speak about that another time. We're basically in a war at the moment, and some people I think everyone is getting hit in different ways, and I think some people may be getting hit a little bit more than others. But I think in general, we're all going to start getting hit more and more as time goes on, which is actually the greatest gift from God, because what that's going to do, it's going to force us to awaken. It's going to force us to step into the kingdom of God, which is within our heart. And that might sound very hippie, but it's actually a very scientific thing. And when we enter back into this space, we're talking superluminal consciousness, we're talking all-knowingness, potential like superpowers, levitation, telepathy, telekinesis. You know, all of this stuff is possible by location, like being able to literally like teleport to another part of the world. This is like for most people just beyond, but there's so much references in ancient texts that we used to be able to do this. We could live till much longer in our lifespan, and I think all of that is coming. I know in my heart it is, and I think this pressure that's coming from let's call it the shadow, is what facilitates this huge transformation in humanity. Oh look, I'll go down to the river, will I? No, we go down to the lake. I'll go down to the lake today. Oh, I'll go and I'll sing a day. Okay. Yeah, there's literally like everywhere you turn here, there's just like little tiny places. They're just so cute. Like, look at this. And you come down and got your little rock for sitting on. So you just sit here, look. Just like taking the world. Just taking the world. Okay. So, the lily pads out there. Guys, I'm falling in love with Scotland. I've been called, every time I drink it, I just automatically want to keep it in my mouth. So it's not a good thing for me to actually have this on video, because it's actually really hard for me to take this and just drink it, because I know the magic happens with the sublingual absorption of the nanoparticles. That's where they get into the blood, which is also where I really started to kind of feel like the nefarious element of this system that we've been in, that is truly coming to an end, and we're going to bring in a really bright future for our kids. But they like to put the mercury in our teeth. Now that I can feel, I'm very sensitive. When I took this gold, when I take it, when I leave it in my mouth, I can feel it going into my body, my brain, the parts of my body that are kind of like in pain. I can feel it going down into my left toe, where I've had like this like circulation issue. Like, my health basically over the last 2 years living by a tower has just rapidly been going south, and that's why I've been forced to come up to Scotland and to really kind of look for the most optimal location right now. Even with everything that I found, I still have to be in the most optimal location. I just have to be, you know. But yeah, when I understood how powerful it was coming into my sublingual kind of blood pathway, I then started to think about the mercury, because I've nearly died from mercury like poisoning pretty much. I had all my mercury amalgams removed and I pretty much nearly died. A couple of weeks later, I had like emergency open heart surgery and a mechanical heart valve inserted that saved my life. And I come out of the medical system I went in not well, and I came out, I would say, very not well. And I feel like I've spent most of my life just recovering from whatever they've injected me with, all of the different drugs and heavy metals. And when you really start to understand the transhumanist agenda, the graphene oxide, and I got a mosquito bite last night. But yeah, so like that's the mercury amalgams. Then I had all of my teeth replaced with white amalgams, and recently when all this intense kind of targeting started for me, my teeth started to fall out of my head, all chipping away. So I've had all of my front teeth redone. So yeah, whatever this like technology that they use to kind of like smash people down, it's real. And you can talk to so many different scientists and inventors and just Joe blogs on the street. There's people, it's happening to millions of people right now, which is why I am going to speak out about it. Obviously, it's designed to discredit people, the program, the technology that they use. They use voice to skull on people. Basically, they implant voices into people's heads and they start to make them feel like they're crazy, and they then are classified as crazy. But the thing about it is that technology is well documented. And like for a lot of people, when I talk about this stuff, they're just going to be like, Dark, come on, like what are you talking about? The government would never, why would they even use it on Joe Blog's public? And it's like, if you think about it, if you're like this tiny group of people, and you can see in the Epstein files now, like we're talking like very sick, deranged people that are so far removed from what we understand to be human, like the most grotesque upbringing. Like, you know, on some levels your heart really has to go out to them because they've been born into these lineages of like the most dysfunctional families that you can imagine. So like, yeah, that system, they've just accessed some very advanced technologies. That voice to skull technology is documented being used in Operation Desert Storm by the US military, where they implanted the voice of Allah into the Arab soldiers to drop their weapons, and they did. Even in Venezuela recently, there's documented reports of the soldiers just having like no energy, that there's multiple cases of how they use this technology to interfere with brainwave patterns, implement thoughts, implement like voices into the head, all this stuff. So yeah, like I've been experiencing some really, like my life was tricky up until a certain point. I went to Ireland September 2024, went to a spiritual gathering, 144 people, met some people there that were talking about things like this, but I'd never had direct experience. After that event, got back to Galway, woke up in the middle of the night with heart palpitations ringing in my ears, and basically from that day on, my life literally has turned into like, let's just say, a challenge. Now, does that mean that my joy, my vitality, my pernickettiness, does that mean I'm going to stop in any way? No, it doesn't. Does it mean I've been hampered? Yes, I have. Has it given me more like drive to make an impact? Yes, it has. So maybe that's the reason behind it. Maybe it comes in and it makes life really challenging for loads of people, to the point where it's like, it's so challenging that the only option we have right now is let's do something about it. So the thing that's coming in for me really strongly is, I think, I have a funny feeling the way we get out of this is through our heart. Because I've had experience with the heart and stepping into the heart. It is beyond, from what I've heard, it's like the only part of our being that actually exists in non-duality. There's a space within the heart called the tiny space of the heart. This is from Drumvalo Melchizedek, which he says exists in non-duality. And what that means is that when we reside in that space, we get out of the nightmare, which is right, left, polarized, the brain, everything, like, this person's, like, it's just kind of the noise. There's another way of us existing. And like, can you just imagine this for a second? Can you imagine existing in a space where you feel like a connection to the ultimate oneness? And imagine just being here right now, feeling that feeling, and just like sitting on these rocks and just stepping into that water and starting to swim and just feeling that feeling like of true connection. It's like no money, no matter how much money you have, it doesn't matter how much money you have. You can be in your super yacht, surrounded by the hottest women in the world, snorting lines of cocaine, like living the life, and you can be miserable. And it's like, someone can have absolutely nothing and be in that space and have everything. So it's like, that's, I think, where this is pushing us. It's like we've come to the end of the fall, which is the end of the Kali Yuga, this 27,000 year cycle which every ancient culture spoke of. We're basically 27,000 years all the way around, and now we've come to the end again. When we're at like 13,000 years prior, we're at the peak of our civilization from all best accounts, the peak of the golden age, and then we fall, and we've just gone through the fall, 13,000 years of the fall, which has been really challenging, full of like, you know, murders and like, we're all traumatized. And now we've finished that, and it means we now get to enter back into the golden age, which is still going to be like up and down troughs. It's not all like clean sailing from what I can gather, which would make sense. But what it means is that we're being tested right now. We're, in my heart of hearts, we're about to be tested. We haven't actually gone through the test. It's coming. We're going to go through a huge event. I think 28, 29 is when it's going to hit. I would say not to be full of fear, but I would say just like prepare, in the sense of like, what's the best way to prepare for the greatest spiritual event on the planet? It's not like, let's hoard loads of beans and make sure I've got food, which obviously is a good idea. I don't think it's going to get like that bad, because if you look at our technology, and what I think is going to happen is, I think prices are going to continue to skyrocket. So like, what would I do? I would probably work on, how do I create additional abundance while serving humanity and whilst like uplifting myself and my community. Hopefully something that I can do less hours and bring more reward to people. And however that is, it's like, maybe have loads of chickens and supply your neighbours with eggs. Maybe it's come up with some, like, the technology now is just getting so advanced. It's like, you know, use that technology. Why not? I'm using it. I'm using a laser to make nano gold. And not only that, I'm going to be able to make nearly every supplement that me and my family needs, like magnesium, zinc, like copper. I'm going to be able to make them all in a nano form, which is actually the most amazing way to take any supplement. Because what happens is, your body, instead of it being some type of like some other form of a copper, your body has to then change that for it to be able to produce a bioavailable form of copper. But with the nano molecules, your body basically just takes what it needs and can easily get rid of what it doesn't need. So I'm still in the process of like researching and understanding that world, but yeah, it's interesting. The guy Eric Jennings that put me onto this, he's been drinking it like non-stop in large doses for 30 years, giving it to his family. He's learned how to make this years and years ago. His friends, his family. There's never been one instance of like any negative experience from anything that he can find. The only negative press you'll find about the gold is the way it's produced with electrolysis. The gold chloride that's produced through that can be slightly toxic if consumed in large amounts. But like, people freak out about all these natural health supplements, whilst the powers that be are putting the most heinous ingredients into our foods, our pharmaceuticals. And yeah, like, anyways, one of the things for me is I'm going to be getting anecdotal evidence of people taking it and through their own like personal use only. And let's see. Okay, I think this is it anyways. So we've done it.